So we sat down with Bob Williams because there was a piece of film that I was using in my presentations, which, and you may have seen this, it's supposedly came out of the former Soviet Union. It was filmed in the late 40s and then into the 60s. So there's like 3 films that were released by this guy called Ivan over a period of weeks.
Was this a crashed saucer?
Yeah, the crash saucer.
And the troops were going to look at it or something?
No, that's another one in the snow. But it's similar. It's similar. It shows a UFO flying in the sky, and in the next shot, the UFO has crashed. It's been down. There's alien bodies on the ground. The next scene after that is what they call Skinny Bob. In fact, that's the name of the video. And you see what appears to be a extraterrestrial. And the camera pans, shows the whole ET, and it looks very much like what we've all imagined them to look like from artist drawings.
The alien grays, right?
The alien grays, absolutely. Big head, black eyes, elongated arms, 4 fingers. It's very convincing. The eyelids shut several times, the hand flicks out. And I look at that and I said, for me, and I was showing this at my presentations, and I would give a caveat before I would show the film, and I would say, look, guys, I don't know whether this is real or not, but I've studied it. I'm leaning towards the idea or the side that this may be the real deal.
Wow.
It may be the real thing. So Bob Williams looks at it, and look, like you, I'm a true believer. I know something's going on. The phenomena is real. Yeah, there can be hoaxes out there, but there's also the real stuff, okay?
That's right.
So that being said, we look at the footage, and Bob goes, well, it's pretty convincing. And he immediately starts, he goes, why did the camera just pan out then? I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, the camera focused on, this is during the crash scene, what looks like an alien that came out of the crash, extraterrestrial biological entity on the ground, but the camera just shows him for 2-3 seconds and pans away. He goes, this is what we do in Hollywood. We show the monster, quote, and then pan away real quick. And
so you don't get a chance to look at it.
Exactly. A good cameraman, and he says this, any cameraman worth a salt, any cameraman with any amount of experience would not have moved, would have been as still as a hawk, hovering over a groundhog. Just
right.
bam.
Right.
Looking at
I agree
that
with
thing.
that.
Exactly. Then I go, well, the film looks original. He goes, see all these flashes? They're in a loop. He just kind of looks at me and grins. I go, what do you mean they're in a loop? And he goes, see this mark right here? Now watch. It'll come again in about 30 seconds. Sure enough,
it did.
Bam. I'm going, oh, my gosh. So we know that the film has been doctored to look old. The next thing with Bob, and I'm still fighting him at this point. I'm going, Bob, but it looks so real. I mean, how could you create something like this? This is an expensive hoax. And he said, yeah, it's an expensive hoax. But the Skinny Bob so-called extraterrestrial is a digital composition. It looks real.
But it wasn't there.
It's not there. It's all digitally created.
L.A., hold on. Let's talk a little bit more about that. L.A., let's talk more about the Bob Williams case then. So he's looking at this film saying, this is faked. And you're quite not so sure at that point.
Well, I came in looking at the film, and I'm not a special effects guy, so I'm certainly at a disadvantage here. And I'm looking at it and going, this looks pretty good to me. And he starts picking it apart and talking about the digital creation of the Skinny Bob thing. There's another segment, which we haven't talked about yet. And this guy, Ivan, posts that there was supposed to be a meeting between these EBEs and some government, some Russian government, okay? Former Soviet Union government. And this guy has a hidden camera. And so what we see is about 4 or 5 of these grays coming by the camera. Now, again, if it's a hoax, there's people in costumes. I mean, how's all this coming down? And we see one of the grays detects that he's being filmed, and they were told that they weren't allowed to film anything, according to Ivan. So this one gray turns and walks to the guy, and then the camera goes black. So there were 3 segments of these films that were released. Another thing that certainly bothered Richard, my friend, and also bothered Bob Williams, at the bottom of this thing was a time code. And the time code is showing, hours, minutes, seconds type of thing. And in 1948, there was no such thing as time code. So I proposed that, maybe this is a copy of the film, and they added the time code later so they could go back and one researcher could go, hey, go to 1 hour, 15 minutes, 30 seconds. What do you see here? And Bob agreed with that, but he had a problem with the loops that made the film look old. The scratches that were in the film were all done in post-production. So Williams thinks that this whole thing, and it looks very convincing to me, is a fake.